I decided to do the REVO-A's. I put those on and I noticed that the front end just didn't seem right. I went ahead and did the AXEO and installed them, and it was incredible. I got out on the bike and that first half a mile seemed just like it was a whole different bike. It just seemed smoother, it seemed tighter in the front end, and I didn't feel any of the bumps remotely close to what I was used to feeling. One of the selling points that Harley-Davidson had when they sold me the bike, that the overall comfort and ride was supposed to be pretty special, which it was. I didn't know what I was missing until I put the AXEO suspension on the front. It was night and day difference. I've noticed that it not only gives me a smooth, soft ride, but it also tightened the front end up. The weight of the bike seemed to push me, farther into the curve than I wanted to be, and now that doesn't happen. It's just perfect. The Legend AXEO suspension is well worth every penny and then some.
The AXEO suspension performs like no other suspension that I've ridden on. The handling is so much smoother than the stock forks. Jumps in pavement, coming onto an overpass and tight turns no longer gave you that eerie feeling like you were going to lose contact with the pavement and possibly go out of control. Braking hard going into corners. The AXEO suspension doesn't bottom out or cause excessive pull to one side. So I've come to the conclusion that no matter how hot, cold, curvy, bumpy, the AXEO suspension delivers a smooth, controllable ride, and they're a perfect complement to the REVO-A's that I had installed. Both of the suspensions are like a crossbreed between an off-road suspension and a competition sport suspension, yet surpassing the bar at both ends. If you want to get more comfort and control out of your bike, Legend suspension is the way to go. I've been riding for 40 years, and I can stay in the saddle longer now than I ever could before. I don't feel all beat up after 11,000 miles in 11 days. I feel like I can still ride another 11,000 in 11 days. And I've got to give it hands down to Legends and the crew for what they do and what they produce.
I'll tell you, it's a much better looking front suspension than what Progressive was putting out. You could tell that the staff at Legend Suspension really put a lot of care and understanding of how a front suspension works when they put this thing together. In combination with the Revo, you can get behind semi-trucks and it doesn't push you around. You hit the tar snakes, it's not moving you around. This bike is a very solid bike, and I wish it was something that I had done previous to putting 50-some thousand miles on this bike. It was pretty immediate that I could tell there was a very big difference in the front suspension. Where it used to jar me, this suspension no way jars me. Going over railroad tracks and the rumble strips that are in the road, this thing just eats that up. You do not feel it. I feel very confident going over them that I'm not going to bottom out. I'm going to have a smooth transition over them. These roads offer a lot of twists and turns, as well as dips in the roads when you're turning, and I never felt like the bike was going to come out from underneath me. This bike just felt solid and planted on the ground, something that I've never experienced before. While it was always a pleasure to ride, putting the suspension on there absolutely takes this bike to the next level. I'm not sure that there's another company out there that can make this suspension as well as Legend did, and make this bike ride as well as it has. And in fact, it actually pushes me a little bit better to enjoy the ride and the twists. I'm not afraid of the little dips or the potholes that may be on the road when I'm approaching them. I feel very confident in the product that I have on my bike now, the people there at Legend Suspension, and I'm very happy that I got my bike Legendated.